Hello, Danusia here. Today I'm joined by Erica Jong, yes, that Erica Jong, for a conversation that gets straight into the stuff she was not really supposed to talk about back when she wrote her iconic erotic novels. Jealousy between women, sex that isn't wild or cinematic, mothers, daughters, and all the uncomfortable truths in between. We talk honestly, no performance, about what it means to want, to write the things you're not meant to say, and to live through the consequences. Erica isn't about posturing, she tells it straight. And this episode, it's as close to sitting with her at your kitchen table as you're likely to get. Here we go. Welcome to Parents Who Think, Erica.
Hi, Danusia.
So, through your work, one of the things that I'm curious about is your engagement with jealousy.
With jealousy?
Yes, because my mother was fearlessly, ferociously jealous of the fact that actually she had to raise this child with the name of her husband's bestest love. A bit much, really.
I think that jealousy is a human emotion, and jealousy exists in families, it exists between friends. And denying it is probably more dangerous than acknowledging it and moving on.
Yeah, it's often this unspoken peace in female friendships, rather than being...
Absolutely right.
Yeah, rather than kind of almost unpacking it and putting it on the table and saying, wow, you know what? I'm really pretty jealous that you have whatever, or you are this. Doesn't it take a lot of the power away from it when we own?
When we own it, it's true.
Yeah.
You know, if you have two friends and one is more beautiful or is smarter and acknowledged as such, I mean, those are the things that Elena Ferrante writes about in her novels. The anonymous Italian writer from Naples, she writes about all the things between women we're afraid to talk about. And I think that's why people are drawn to her work.
Yeah, I mean, it's those taboos that we all know are there, but we dare not speak about, which of course is one of the incredible cachets of your work, your ability to voice the edge, to voice the unspokens, certainly from, right back when you first began publishing. Actually, when did you first begin? Can't even think of sense.
My first book of poems was published in 1971, and that was poetry. But who reads poetry, right? However, for me, it was the beginning of everything, because in poetry, you have to be honest. And it's easy to be honest because you think nobody will ever read it.
That's hilarious.
You think, well, nobody will read it, so I can be honest. It's rare for poets to be widely read. Some are, and it's amazing, but most are not. Early on, when I published Fear of Flying, people went out and bought my first book of poems as well. I've heard that from some people, and the sales went up. But you can't really judge whether it was actually read or how much it was enjoyed. Those are things you're not given to know. But sometimes you go out on the road to talk about your books or other things, and suddenly someone comes up to you and says, my first love and I always quoted these lines to each other. And that's always a wonderful thing.
I mean, I don't know how to really discuss your work without understating the sensual turn on of them.
Well, the turn on is about speaking what we're not supposed to speak, but that we all feel. It's validating the unpopular, unspoken feelings. And I was terrified when I was writing. And I know that the fear indicated that I was writing what I was not supposed to write. And I think through that, I gave people permission to be more honest about their feelings. I hope so.
Yeah, I'm sure. What was it like to be that terrified to write such unspoken, taboo pieces that and books that you knew would shake the ground?
When people embraced it, I bless my readers for being brave, because there were times that I was denounced, as a bad woman, which is ridiculous, but it hurts.
In what ways were you denounced as a bad woman? What led them to? What were they pointing at?
They were pointing at sex. They were pointing at being honest about negative feelings. Women are supposed to be healers and nice to everybody. And they're not supposed to acknowledge jealousy. They're not supposed to acknowledge sexuality. They're not supposed to acknowledge negativity of any sort. So it's a relief to find a writer who does. And yet you're always sort of a bad girl.
What's it like?
You alternate between misery and exaltation.
Sounds like being a mother, actually.
Exactly. It's just like being a mother, in fact, but a mother of your books.
Yeah.
And then there's my daughter, who, of course, loves what I say and hates what I say, which is normal for a daughter. Ambivalence. We all have ambivalence. And in matters of love and family and friendship, we have warring opinions. And that is really inevitable, right?
Yep.
We don't always feel the same thing. And that's very human. So I hope that I embrace my own humanity and give people permission to embrace theirs.
One of the things that marks you out is that you are willing to do so as a pioneer. Yeah, so you paved the way, surely. And that's a painful position.
I hope so. There were other women writers who came before me. You know that Doris Lessing in The Golden Notebook wrote about the arguments women have with themselves. And if you go back to the 18th century, there were few women who dared to write novels about subjects that were not allowed. But the novel, in fact, became a way of women telling the truth about their lives.
In pieces about yourself and Molly, your daughter, you come across as, or at least the writing about you, and I think that's the thing, is it almost like you're playing prude cop and sexual cop.
I've always taught her that it was okay to express who you are.
Well, even when that's not in favor of you?
I mean, I was critical of my mother, was I not? Of course.
Yes.
And kids become critical in order to grow up and find their own identity. And we shouldn't punish them for that, because it proves we were good parents, that we gave them free expression. Painful though it is,
Mm. When do you think children come to this, I don't know, is it a return ship, or does it have to be when they have their own children? Because so many women aren't having children. Will they get there?
Well, it doesn't have to be when they have their own children, but it tends to happen when they become much more confident of their own identity, however that evolves.
Yes.
And when they're confident that they are not part of you and that they have their own opinions. I remember when I was a kid, I thought my mother's opinions were golden. Then I went to university and I came home and disagreed with her about everything. That's what kids do. And that proves that you've raised a kid who's ready to be independent, moving towards independence, which is what you want.
Exactly.
Even if it's painful, it can be painful, but it proves you've raised an independent kid.
Completely. What's it like having zipless fucks?
Well, I never liked zipless fucks. Zipless fucks were not of interest to me. All my relationships have been very mutual and caring. But it was an idea rather than something that I did. It was like an anti-self. What would it be like to not be emotional? What would it be like to be able to fuck anybody? I never could do it, but I could fantasize about it.
But we are led to believe that it is possible. I don't mean through your work. I actually mean since your work, your earlier work, that it's become much more embraced as a proposition for and an actuality for women to go, take, be hungry, desirous. You have this libido. You go fuck who the hell you like. There's that sense that it's possible, yet actually, we're still grappling with whether it is truly something that
satisfying.
Does it leave us feeling nourished as a soul?
Right. Exactly. That you describe it absolutely perfectly.
Yeah.
And it's our ambivalence that we want something that when we do it, perhaps is not satisfying. But that's human nature, right?
Uh-huh.
I mean, there are people who have to climb Mount Everest and go to the top and die, but they must try. And I think sexually people can be like that. Not everybody. Some people want warmth and some people want adventure and madness. Whatever is your need, you're trying to learn who you are.
Yes.
And I have to admit, I've always preferred warm and cuddly.
Oh, Erica.
Whatever. Heroines can be your opposite, not your mirror image.
Okay. Tell me about warm and cuddly sex. What is warm and cuddly sex?
Warm and cuddly sex is somebody who adores you and wants to pleasure you instead of just taking his own pleasure or her own pleasure. It's a person who cares for you. Is that weird?
No, not actually. If you look at most kind of Netflixy things at the moment, I've noticed a version of sex, and it's you just get in the door. You just get in the door wherever you live. You only just get in the door. He shoves you up against a wall. You rip each other's clothes off. You have really uncomfortable sex.
Right.
On a really, not weird, I don't mean weird, but I mean uncomfortable. Like I'm thinking literally physically uncomfortable on a sofa side, which really would be quite,
right.
And I'm thinking of all the practicalities as I'm watching it. And I'm thinking, why are they portraying sex, normalizing sex in this one manner? It's always in a particular way at the moment.
Right. Exactly. And it goes through trends.
Yes.
In society. And novels often portray those trends. And movies also portray those trends. And they change over time. So that is very interesting because it gives you an idea of the society that you have.
Yeah.
I think that it's really fascinating.
Well, I'm wondering when we'll have a trend for a kind of half-hearted shuffle over to say, oh, could you just, like a really...
I don't know. It's stimulating. But for satire, it works very well.
Yes, well, that's the issue, though. But we don't get a real kind of a raw validating the unspoken, which is what some of the unspoken is, that it's not wild, that it's not always, this rip-roaring, bodice-ripping. I mean, we could talk for so long about this, and I'm deeply grateful, and I'm so honored that you've come on and talk sex, talk life. I want to give you a huge virtual hug. You're epic.
I want to give you one too. Thank you.
Thank you for this. This conversation reminded me that honesty can be terrifying, but it's also the thing that sets us free. If you're navigating womanhood, writing, motherhood, or just the strange, sexy mess of being human, consider this your permission slip. Erica didn't just crack something open, she gave women a language for our contradictions. Until next time, keep thinking, keep questioning, and as ever, be kind to yourself.